Yes. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Life and Legacy, a moment with Dr. Grace. Yes, we really missed you, and we are here this evening with a new topic, something that is exciting, something that every parent, every child should want to listen in. Addiction or entertainment, a conversation on video gaming and its impact on school age children. Now, this topic this evening is something that everyone would want to have an appreciation for, given the fact that for so many months, the 12 to 18 months, we have been hooked on our gadgets and things are happening, and our children seem to be having an addiction. So, this is Let's Talk Life and Legacy, a moment with Dr. Grace. I'm your host, and I am very pleased to be with you this evening. And I am very pleased to be with you this afternoon. And we have a special guest joining us, and that is issues, game disorder, and other, the DSM-5 did not mention it as a disorder, but it is listed as a possible addiction. So take a moment and invite your friends, your family to hop on over, like and share this page as I go over and say, welcome, Dr. Bell, welcome, Tamrah Barbara. How are you and what's been on your mind?
I go first. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
probably
Go ahead.
what's been on my mind. I am amazing. I am so honored to be here again. It is such a privilege and an honor to be in your space and have these conversations. What's on my mind is how I am to get this information to parents moving in 2022. Uh, television program that I'm impact this whole topic of discussion and what my role be in it moving forward as I continue to participate in these discussions and do this work, and how I'm going to bring it together with transformational work that I do with teens, how I can be in service to parents in this niche. So that's where I'm at.
Thanks, Tamara. We are experiencing some technical challenges, and the world is aware that it's not just limited to Jamaica, but in our area, we've been having this. Several of our live programs, some of our online programs have been affected recently. And so we thank you for your patience with us as we seek to communicate and share the valuable information that we have garnered. So thanks, Tamara. We will introduce you in a more formal way in a little bit. Dr. Bell, what's been on your mind?
The changing world, Dr. Kelly, Dr. Grace, the world is changing in such an exponential way. And for all of us to try to keep up with what's going on, I'm finding that more and more people are becoming really stressed. And I'm also finding that even the therapists are now having to be using their own therapeutic modalities on themselves because of this changing and dynamic world that we're in. So I would love one of these days Dr. Grace, for us to explore that topic, the changing world. Do we continue to put a square peg in a round hole, or how do we navigate ourselves through this so that it doesn't become so distressing? I'm glad we're having this topic too, because this is like a changing, evolving, dynamic phenomenon that is now happening to our young people. And I'm glad that we have Tamrah here. That last time we had her on our program, she was just amazing in terms of setting things in perspective so that we were able to better understand what this whole issue of gaming addiction is. And she reminded us that it's not really, we shouldn't call the word, the whole issue then addiction. So she will help us again to begin to unravel what that would look like, and we are happy to have her too.
Thanks, Dr. Bell. And Linda, right, Patrick, thank you for joining. And as you're saying, this is so much needed. I hope that you will stay with us and you'll invite your other colleagues to come and join in. Tamara, I've met you recently under 1 year, and you blow my mind away in terms of what you do and how you interact with young people in a transformational way. Tell us a little bit about that so that the persons who are listening can appreciate what you're bringing to the table this evening.
Absolutely. I call myself a teen interventionist, and recently I've intervened teens, young adults, and adults with respect to problematic overuse of technology, or uh, I call it problematic use. And prior to that, I've been working with teens, all types of behavioral issues, probably about 20 years now. But over the past 10 years, I've seen increase in technology use, and I've seen its impacts with our young people, including my own 5 children. I've seen some of the impacts of technology, but I work with teens, typically ages 13 to 18, and I created a transformational social and emotional learning program for teens. It's based on the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy. So I'm a practitioner in that aspect. And I'm also a certified coach and a passionate lover of our young people, and a committed servant to ensuring that they get the tools they need to successfully navigate life. And working in this specific area, I've got both of my worlds melding together. I've been in IT for over 25 years. I work with one of the top five IT companies in the world, and I'm looking at the amazing that that these companies are creating at a level, and how those technologies are moving us forward exponentially. And I'm looking at how other aspects of this technology, other platforms have urged this innovation, these amazing innovations with machine learning and AI, artificial intelligence. And with technology advancing exponentially, the human brain is not advancing exponentially. We still have the same brain. And while we can create new neural pathways, we're not fast as this world is spinning. And so we're at a disadvantage. And I've seen some social media platforms leverage that against our best interests, and more
Mhm.
so in their interest to increase their revenue. And on the back end of that, our young people are paying a price. Families are paying a price. And so that is why the topic that we're discussing is so important.
Mhm. Thank you. I value what you have shared so far, and you're saying the parents are paying a price. And even though technology is increasing, technology is expanding, the brain is not expanding. But even though research shows that by the time, no matter how long we live, we use just a minuscule amount of the capacity of our brain. We can talk about that later on. Dr. Bell, as we are exploring this topic tonight about the gaming, whether or not it's an addiction, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, just as you said earlier, that the
Wow, we
DSM-5
are
doesn't
really, this
list.
is really a challenge, folks.
You're not
I
hearing?
am not sure Dr. Bell is hearing Tamara. We are going to hold the fort until we get it settled. But here are some of the things that we can do.
We can hear her. She and I are coming in pretty clear. I can hear her. You, there's a delay with you, and you're breaking up, but I can spell pretty
You're
clear.
hearing me, Tamara?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But Dr. Kelly, she fell off. Right. So Tamara, I'm sure you want to give us a background, because as I was saying, DSM-5 doesn't list gaming addiction as a mental disorder.
Correct.
And
Not yet.
and they're now, yeah, not yet, but at least for now they're saying it is not a disorder. And but how do we know when it is a disorder?
Yeah, it,
How
very
do we
similar
recognize
to
it?
yeah, very similar to any other addiction. It is your inability to control your usage, not able to regulate it or limit your internet usage. And although DSM doesn't recognize it as a mental disorder as of yet, there are a lot of studies happening right now. And from what I'm hearing, I believe in 2022, it's going to be added to the
Mm.
DSM. And so there's been a lot of work done in that area by some very amazing people that are seeing this challenge in our society. When you think about it, the stats that I have, there 60% of internet users are addicted, and the largest group is that 18 to 24-year-old age group, and the 13 to 17. That's the largest groups that are addicted to technology. And when I say addicted to technology, like I said earlier, I don't like using that word, particularly for young because
I
it is.
know you don't.
I say problematic gaming or overuse. You'll know there are a couple of signs that you can look out for. There are actually 9 areas. There is an assessment that you can use to help determine whether or not it's entertainment or addiction. If it's entertainment, you can just put it down. You don't think about it when you're not playing it. If you have a young person and you call them to dinner, they just do it and they come to dinner. If you take it away from them, they don't care. They'll just do something else. They doing. That's how you know when it's just entertainment, just to pass the time. But when you know it's a problem, you're going to notice mood changes. You're going to notice obsessive focus on either social media or that digital device, whether it's gaming or their cell phone or Netflix and binging. There's a lot of things, a lot of ways people can overuse technology. If you see weight gain, health issues because they're sitting all that time, they're not feeding themselves, or they're eating quick junk food just to put something on their stomach so they can continue playing. Most times they lose track of how long they've been playing. As a parent, you might be monitoring the time, but if you ask them, they say, well, I've only been on it for an hour, when actually they've been on about 5 hours. So they completely lose track of time. And they feel like they more and more and more and more time, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours to 8 hours, and it continues on. And then when you take it away, they experience withdrawal just as you would with the drug. And the it's very similar, and it's more dangerous in my opinion, because with drugs, you take them out of the environment and you put the drugs away, buy drugs. But with technology, it's all around you and you can't get away from it. Somebody always has a device. There's always access. The access is incredible. It's like taking a drug addict, telling them not to use drugs, but putting them in a crack house where they're surrounded by like that's really literally
That's
what
a
it's like.
great analogy.
And but you wouldn't do that for addict,
Mm-mm.
right? For technology use, there's no escape. And so I've been working with the A&E network. There's going to be a series coming out next. I'm one of the interventionists, and we've been working with people that have identified themselves as technology overusers. And it's kind of interesting. There's two industries that call their consumers users. That's the drug industry and the IT technology industry.
Mm, great. I see Dr. Grace back on. Welcome back, Dr. Grace. Tamrah and I were just kind of looking at what addiction looks like. And so she was
Thank you.
walking us through that process of what it looks like. And that even though the DSM 5 doesn't have it, that by 2022, that they should be including it. And I can tell you that since the pandemic, where I sit as a clinical psychologist in the child guidance clinic, I find that more and more we're seeing parents coming in with stories of the whole shift in their children's pattern of behavior and what they are now seeing as an addiction because they cannot get them away from the devices. And not only that, but they are also behaving quite aggressive when these gadgets are taken away from them. And that is cause for concern because even us in the clinic, we are finding it challenging in terms of how do we treat with this, because it sounds to me like there is an addiction going on, and that addiction is similar, as you said, Tamara, to the use of drugs. The use
Absolutely.
of
It hits
drugs.
yeah, it hits our brain reward system. And these platforms and applications are designed so that we plug in, we continue to scroll and scroll and scroll at notifications. I always think about, I heard someone draw an analogy between a tool, right? Like this device, this device is a tool. And when I think of other tools like a hammer or a blender, we don't go to it until we need it, until we need to use it for something. But our phones actually reach out to us and say, "Hey, pick me up." You hear the phone, you hear the notifications. Like all the applications have these notifications that when it dings in your brain, it sets off that reward system. Oh my God, someone's liking something that I posted, and so you have this urge desire to go and check, even when you know you're not supposed to. So
Mm,
that is how it creeps up on you. And with this type of addiction, this type of modification, which is what these applications are doing in the brain, it's very subtle. You don't even realize it. By the time you realize it, it's too late. You're already sucked in. And there are some signs that you can take note of even for yourself. And before I even go there, for parents, that have younger kids, don't use it as a babysitter. Don't use these devices at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, 12, 13 years old. They don't need them at that point. I would say keep it away as long as possible. My kids didn't get a device until they were playing sports and had to travel, and I wanted to make sure that I could reach them. That's when phones. They were probably about 13, 14, about 14, 15 years old. They were well into middle school by the time they got. And so I would hold off as long as possible, preventive measures. I would also monitor their time on mobile devices, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a gaming center, whether it's TV. You want to make sure you're monitoring and of things to do. And that's another thing. But when you're talking about teens or people that are already have developed these habits, then my recommendation is always a detox. And when you detox, pick a number of hours, whether it's 20 days. I love the 30-day detox. I think that's one of the most effective ways to do it. But you might start with a 24-hour detox, a 3 to 5, 7-day detox, and do it for the entire family. That means taking all the devices, putting them away, and getting back to being a family and sharing with one another. And I'm also a firm believer when you take something away, you want to make sure you put it back, put something in its place. So come up with maybe like a vision board that you guys create, play some games so that you're filling that time with healthy activities that help in their growth and development. And you can determine that by age, what those activities can be. As a parent, there's some homework that you want to do. And if I'll tell you, this is the other thing I've been finding very disturbing as well with the work that I've been doing with A&E Network is a lot of the people that have these addictions to technology or social media or gaming, they are underlying underlying mental health issues. I'm finding that is at the root of why people tune out and create these worlds, these virtual worlds to escape from their real world. And what I'm finding is there's so much that needs to be done. And so I don't know when, I hope very soon the DSM adds this to its list of disorders because there's a connection between there's drugs too, right? Look at the people that end up in prison. There are always some underlying that landed where they are. So there's that there's not that much difference with technology addictions as well. And so that's something that you really want to be careful of is knowing your family history, knowing where your children are mentally. Has there been a divorce? Are they escaping? Are they being bullied? Are they creating friends online because they're having problems creating friends in person? Do they have you know, social issues that they need some tooling on? There's a lot of areas that could be at the root of why they are zoning out.
Welcome back, Dr. Kelly. The conversation
Yes,
continues.
for the little time. I appreciate that. That's why we have you both experts here. I really value your support. And for the little that I hear and for the time that the bandwidth will allow me, I just want to say I validate what Tamrah has been saying. And I want to pick up. I think I heard you said something about the mental health challenges involved in gaming and addiction. I think I heard you say that.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think
they're absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I think Dr. Kelly has frozen again. Tamara, I heard
Into
you
the
said,
system.
okay,
I'm just going to allow you, I'm giving you the latitude and flexibility to just go ahead.
yeah. Tamara, I heard you said a detox. I know for sure. I remember when I was studying years ago that when I heard of a detox comes with a lot of consequences, side effects, if you may. And I heard you said give some alternative, but those withdrawal symptoms that comes with a detox, how do you manage that in a child who may be going through because what I heard a parent said is that that child became very violent and very aggressive during the period that she took the device away. How do we then manage the detox period? Most persons would have gone into a unit where they are taken and monitored. How do we do that in the home?
Yeah, it's very challenging to do that in the home.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you get to the point where they're violent, where they are hurting themselves and or others, you need more help. At that point you need help from a therapist, from someone that is specialized in dealing with that type of behavior. Do
And
that.
I think what is happening, especially here in Jamaica, is that this whole idea of an video gaming overuse is new in a sense, so that we do not have the personnels equipped, the resources, the psychologists who would be expert in these areas to be able to help. So we have to be depending on, as you said, like that the same cognitive behavioral therapy, and also using some of the strategies that you made mention, where we provide alternatives for the child to be engaging. But I think this is like an uphill battle, because it's so difficult to, keep to to get rid of that level of addiction that is there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's very challenging, and it depends on where this student is. If the student has been given the permission to use for hours and hours and hours at a time, I think that sitting down and having a conversation with your child. Uh, if they're playing video games, they can have a conversation. And so I would have a conversation with them, and first learn as much as you can about it, number one. And then educate your child. Like, that's the first thing I would do. I would do my best to educate my child on the dangers and the side effects of gaming. And I do it from a place that I love them, of course. I do it from a place that I love and support them. And I would shift the way things have been going. I would say I would own it. I was like, listen, I have allowed you to use technology to the point now where I feel like it's a problem. It's coming in between your grades, it's coming in between our conversation, and it's having a negative impact in your life. Now, if I were doing something that was having an impact like that, wouldn't you want me to change something? And like, talk to them on a level that they understand. If I were out here, I were doing drugs, I was coming home and I wasn't cooking for you, I wasn't taking care of you, like, wouldn't you want me to change my life? Wouldn't you want me to make some different choices so that I could be a better? And talk to them and like, this is very similar. This is a very similar situation. And I'm seeing some negative results from this whole is moving forward. It is time that you're on these devices. And I would start shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And if they're not violent, if they're not, just angry, I would do a detox. I was like, listen, we're gonna do a 24-hour detox. And we're not gonna do any video games. We're gonna do, the park. We're gonna do a nature walk, some games. We're gonna do something different.
Mm.
I would start incorporating that, or maybe during the school week, no video games because I'm gonna be focused on. And this is what's important. A lot of times we tell kids, but we don't explain to them why it's important. Why am I making this choice for you? And if I explain to them that, they might get upset. They might be a little fine. Let them be upset. You make sure you lay those boundaries down so that one, they'll thank you. And they might be upset now, but later on, they will thank you for it. And so you can do that with kids that aren't over the edge. Now, when you get past the edge and like you said, they're violent and they're out of control, and the parent loses that control, then I think that's when you want to bring in therapist, someone that can help them with managing their choices and their behavior. Because at that point, the parent is part of the problem. When you see when you see a teen or a child act out like that, it's not the child, it's the parent. And so the parent needs help on how to effectively parent so that the behavior of the child gets in line. And yes, there are all kinds of dynamics where there might be ADHD, there might be other mental disorders at play, but it's up to the parent to make sure that they cover all bases. That if that's the case, make sure that they're taking their meds on time, make sure that they're seeing a therapist, getting them the help that they need so that we can get them to a place where they can create some success and manage their life, not just as a teen, but going into college years and into adulthood.
Great. Um, you made a point earlier that I wanted also to piggyback on. Do you some years ago they were making a correlation between, for example, watching violent movies to children's aggressive behaviors. Do you believe, or is there any studies out there that speaks to uh, gaming, violent video gaming, and aggressive behaviors? Is there anything there? Is there a correlation between video gaming, violent video gaming, and aggressive behaviors in kids?
Yeah, that's an interesting area of study. And it's a bag. I heard that there is no connection, and there's no real. There's a lot of kids that watch violent behaviors and are not violent. It is a case by case basis when you have underlying issues, other behaviors. I think that, but I think it depends on the mental health of the individual. I think it's the mental health of the individual. I do think that violence on any scale causes us to numb out, and
Mm.
it causes us to be desensitized. So
That's a great point.
just the norm, right? And so there's no real outrage. It's just like, oh, shot, and makes it of people that have seen over and over. See that with adults as well, right? And
Mm.
so the effects that you pretty much neutralize things that are violent, and then we lose our empathy for one another and compassion when we're exposing our children to a lot of violence. I didn't expose my kids to violence. Watch BET. They'll tell you they couldn't watch BET. They couldn't watch any TV programs that had violence in it. I mean, I think I did a pretty good job in making sure that they were
Yeah.
exposed to things. And even today, my kids don't like watching violence.
That was really good. We want to remind our audience that you're listening to Let's Talk Life and Legacy, a moment with Dr. Grace. Dr. Grace will rejoin us in a moment, and we are discussing the topic video gaming, addiction, or entertainment. And our guest tonight is Tamrah Barber, who is actually helping to take us through this process of a greater understanding of what is video gaming addiction or overuse, if I may be politically correct. Video overuse. Now, as we continue the discussion, I heard you earlier said that kids should not be exposed to these videos from very early. And actually, as a psychologist, that's one of the things I know, that it is said that children under age 2 should not be exposed the to games or even to gadgets that are, having to do with video gaming or even learning issues that would be there. They should not be exposed to those things. And I do agree, because this is where it becomes that babysitter that you were talking about. And then the children over time becomes addicted. I've seen my grandson, um, his mom took away the video, and he actually took my cushions and threw them on the ground because he it was taken away from him. So I know that that could be the origins of that overuse that could lead to that kind of an obsession towards these gadgets. Welcome back, Dr. Grace. We are way ahead in the process. I think one of the things we want to do ask Tamrah now is, how do parents regulate the use? Since we have been talking about using it as early as under 2 years old, that they have been exposed to these gadgets. How do we regulate and ensure that our children do not become overusers of these devices?
Yeah, currently people that have devices typically use devices probably about 8 to 9 a day. That is the average usage for the average person, that uses it for work, etc. The people that I have that I would say have problematic, they're using it 13 to 18 hours per day.
Wow.
So if your
That's more than half of the day.
the day exactly, but that's what that's the problem when they literally wake up in the morning, they play it all day long. Even when parents are asleep, there are ways that they can get online while they're sleeping, that they're tired or they're sleeping in class, and you think they're going to bed, but they're really not going on their devices. And so one of the things that parents can do is monitor their usage. If it's a cell phone, there's so many ways that people can leverage technology, whether it's your phone, your tablet, a computer, it could be the internet, video games, social media, news. Most, part of their overuse is with news, watching all the headlines and not being able to peel themselves away, to think they're missing something that's happening in the world. Email, blogs, forums, YouTube is a big one with young people. And so there are so many aspects of technology. And so I think the first thing you want to do is identify which ones are negatively impacting your family, your children. And off the bat, talked about detox. That is a strategy. Doing a detox for a number of hours, number of days, or specific days of the week, eliminating technology usage for like the work. But other detox, people do that on their own. They can also reach out and get resources online. There are a couple of resources online their behavioral response, withdrawal response when it's taken away. I think at that point, a therapist would probably be my recommendation. And if there are underlying mental health concerns, I would even consider, sending them away somewhere where they get detox, get the tools that they need, therapists and that understand, the behavioral issues and addictions, and specifically. And there are a couple of around the United States I know that offers this type of service, and some are specific for children as well and young adults. And so I would definitely look into that. And I would say, as parents, setting boundaries. If you have young children, you want to make sure that you know them, and there are days that you're constantly on your phone, constantly on a laptop, constantly in social media technology. You are the example that you're setting for your children, and they are going to do the same. And so, as parents, we want to get ourselves in check first. Because I've heard stories of little ones that have their devices and parents say these things like, let's put the device away, it'll be fine. And so when the adults on their out, the little ones will say, let's put your phone away, mom or dad. It's family time. And it's like, ooh, what did I do? And so it's being aware of what we're spending in technology, making sure that we're setting a good example for our children, whether it's family time. Long gone has the time when we all sit down at the table and have dinner together. But I think that there should be days in the week where you do that, where you bring the family together, you eat dinner and break bread together, and they're able to then share with you the issues of the day, and you can share with them insight and aspects of our family life and healthy things that's really missing. And again, we've tuned out, and we've allowed our children to tune out, and we've
Mm,
gotten so busy with trying to earn a dollar, keep lights on, that we've gotten away from what's really important. I often hear people say, when you're on your deathbed, you're not thinking about tomorrow. You're thinking about the moments you wish you had with the people that you love. So again, let's refocus and get back to creating strong families. I think when there's strong families, the entire world works better.
absolutely. Just a reminder, guys, you're listening to Let's Talk Life and Legacy, a moment with Dr. Grace. And in the house, we have Tamrah Barber, who is actually helping us to better understand if our children's overuse of video gaming is addiction or entertainment. Question again to you, Tamara. Are there any devices, apps out there that you would suggest, for example, um, that parents could use for their kids to monitor the use of these games? Because some parents would tell me that they try everything. They have like taken away the device, put a password on it. The password is broken into, and the child goes back to that kind of overuse of the games. Are there apps or so on out there that could be helpful to parents to help to monitor their children?
Yeah, yeah. I need to do some more research on that. I don't actually have a specific list, but what I'll tell you is your phones, if they're on your phone plan, there are things that you can do to monitor their usage. And you can shut their phone off for periods of time, like when it's time to go to bed, until you want them to be able to access it again. You can definitely set those things up. There are things depending on your internet carrier, there are parental controls. So whatever devices you're using, check first with the parental controls that device provides, so that you can set up your devices so that it puts those boundaries in place. There are, I'm sure if you Googled parental controls for internet. Now I'm gonna send a link for that too, and I'll send that to you so you can forward that out. Also, that will be
Mm.
really obvious. And if you need more information, like my information will be provided at the end of this, just shoot me an email and I'll send you a few of them. I've written them down on a note card, so you collect all of them. I didn't even want to share ones, and often going in and doing a delete, and it's no reason. And so another thing that I would do in particular, I would shut off my internet at nighttime. Once I've gone to bed, there's no reason why the internet needs to be. So I would just shut the internet off. So there are things that you can do through your provider
Mm.
that allow you to monitor and make sure that you're checking those devices, because you can see there are ways that you can go in and see where they're still on even after you've set all the controls in place. You can tell if they've gone on or off. And so
That's
there
a
are things that
great suggestion. That's a very great suggestion because many parents don't see that. Like you can shut down the internet at a certain time so that
yeah,
they do not have use to it.
absolutely.
We are talking with Tamrah Barber, and she is a teen interventionist. We're actually reaching that part of the show where we are our speak up segment. So we're asking those of you, do you have questions? Please post it. And here we have our expert in studio who will answer all of those questions to the best of her ability. So this is our speak up segment. Please begin to put your questions in as you want them answered.
Got it. And as they're coming in, I did want to share some factors that
Mm-hmm.
make teens more susceptible to digital overuse. One of them is, we talked about the mental health. Another one is addictive personality, impulsive behavior. Like that could possibly be an area that increases their susceptibility to this. Also, if they have a negative talk about themselves and low self-esteem, and like being hiding behind that wall of social media and becoming someone else, even there's things out here like catfish, where you can create these profiles and literally build a whole new persona. And so you want to make sure that you're paying attention to those things, those aspects of your children's personality types. If they're lonely, if they're an only child, or they're in a sibling dynamic where they don't feel connected to their family members, that might also make them susceptible. Peer pressure, just the ease of access, making sure that it's not easily accessible. Like, don't make internet available 24/7. Make sure you shut that
Mm.
down so that there's no access, because they can go online and create relationships and play games all through the night with people all over the world. But they can do that if they don't have internet access. And also, when you shut down internet access, you want to collect the phones at night, and put them away, put them in your room, like underneath your mattress, so that you don't have to deal with them. If they try to get them, waking you up. So just slide it underneath your mattress so that you don't know where it is. Or, when you go into your room, close your door, make sure it's
Mm.
you and figure out where you put it so that when you're asleep they can get it. And then I would say, moodiness. It'll if you have children that are moody, that is often a way that they check out when they get into tune out. And so those are some of the that make them more susceptible to grabbing a device or getting gaming, and you want to watch out for as well.
How does the Dr. Grace is back with us? Dr. Grace, we are approaching our speak up segment, and we are eliciting questions from our audience. I want to ask one more question of you, Tamrah. How does the pandemic factor into this whole
Yeah.
process? I hear you talk about the mental health, the moodiness of the child's personality and so on, but how does the pandemic itself factor into the video use?
Great question. It absolutely has factored in,
Mm-hmm.
because if you think of a student that was in school with thousands of other teenagers, being the most important time of their life from a social, their friends are probably the most important people in their lives. And yes, they love their family, yes, they love their, but they have this connection, and they're spread their wings, and they're socializing, and they have these groups and that. And you take all of that away. I had huge concerns at the beginning. I knew that these students isolated. About the students that homes, toxic environments, where there were no discipline, no restrictions, no
Mm-hmm.
foundation set in place, and the only structure they did have was school. And so them just being at home with nothing to do,
Mm-hmm.
and with parents as well doing their best, uh, figuring out work, parent and teach, because at the beginning parents didn't know how to do this, nor did teachers, and so they were trying to figure. So people got caught up in the mix and turned to social media and gaming to fill that time. Go outside,
Mm.
couldn't go, friends. So really, you lost connection with the people, and so now the only world that you have is social media.
Mm.
But it's created a huge. That's another. Talk about a perfect storm, about things coming all together that created this and escalated it. It is the impacts of
COVID-19.
the
Mm-hmm.
advances of tech and the growth of social media platforms, usage
Mm.
of artificial to gain viewership, so market products and
Dr. Grace, over to you. I see you're back.
Thank you. And I just want to say thanks to both of you for holding the fort. And I am sure that the audience would have gotten significant information, valuable information that they would be able to utilize to assist in parenting and providing support for children who are seemingly addicted to the game. Now, we are wanting to know, are there any questions out there? If not, Tamara, I'm not sure. Well, I know you would have covered a wide range of things, but just in case there is a child who is actually at this time have gone beyond the limit, extreme. I heard you talk about ensuring that they do what the fasting,
Detox.
from them in the night and moderate the use of it. But what if someone is at the point where it's not just throwing tantrums now, but they become violent in the home with their parents? What would you suggest that
I would I would
they do?
suggest that they find a therapist to assist and mediate so that the behavioral issues get served, so that work with this young person to understand what they're dealing with and equipped with that skill set. And so I think that at that point, when it's that far gone, definitely a therapist or a psychologist who has those skills in dealing with behavioral issues should
Mhm.
be um, should be called to help support the family. Or the other option would be to send out of the home, because again, when you see that type of behavior, there are underlying issues that I think it's a lot healthier to help the child out of the home and deal with the child and equip them and help them work through those challenges, and at the same
Mhm.
time work with the parents to set a foundation so that when the child does come back home, there are some boundaries that are set and held to. And so I think it becomes it's not just a teen issue, it's a family issue.
I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Thank you. Greatly appreciated. And one of the things that I'm sure you probably would have mentioned is the management of the time and the schedule of the children and ensuring that that takes place. And I just want to reinforce that this challenge, you did mention that, and we want to establish that we are aware that some of the times persons getting involved with these addictive behavior is because of some underlying issues. So we have to find out what's happening to them and to treat with that. I want to also reinforce to the parents to understand that what we would say it would be a normal reaction to what has been happening to them because they have been shifted out of their normal way of operation and they do need to be engaged in physical activities. So plan those activities so that they become a part of the lifestyle of the family. And also, one of the things I would reinforce or encourage is that when the child is in school, the teachers, those who are facilitating their class, they would definitely need to be more engaging using the classroom management skills and their other techniques that they would have learned to engage the student in the lesson so that they are not diverted and feel bored and having to go and play their video games. So I just wanted to reinforce some of those. I know you would have covered a wide range of things, and I am so thankful and grateful for your having come and share with us. And Dr. Bell, thank you for holding the fort. We know we are a team moving forward, and I really look forward for us to continue this and other conversations that can enhance the quality of life for our parents and our children so we can move them out of the range of addiction so that they can truly enjoy some fun time with their device but not overdo it where it becomes
Yeah.
an addiction. Dr. Bell, we will now there are no questions that are coming in at this time, but we will ask that each of you would share with us what one thing you want our parents, children, and our teachers to leave with this afternoon.
Yeah. I would say, first and foremost, just acknowledge parents, because it is the most
And
challenging
you,
job in the world. and know that there is support and resources to help you through this. Make sure that you're setting boundaries and keeping them, and not allowing your love for your children when they give you that face and smile at you, not allowing it to break down the
A question,
boundaries that you've
Doc.
set in place. So just making sure that we're being in integrity with what we're saying and being our word, and making sure that we set that foundation so that they can grow and develop in a healthy way and not be dependent on or unable to control their urges for devices. Hold off as long as you can on involving them with technology, as long as you possibly can. And when you do introduce technology into their lives, make sure that you set strict boundaries around that. 2 hours per day, I think, is more than enough. If to not allow any type of gaming Monday through Friday, maybe Friday and Saturday, set them a little more time, and plan activities for your children. Get them involved in sports and music and dance and arts, and they won't have time on their hands to be preoccupied with what's going on social media. And then lastly, if you're in a position where you're at the end of your rope and you're having challenges getting your children to listen, I think at that point, get help. Get help. There are people out there that are specialists in mental health and digital addictions and gaming, problematic technology overuse. Get the support that you need, and know that it's okay, and you're doing your best with what you have. And just continue to operate from a place of love with your children and get the help you need.
So great, Tamara. Dr. Grace is off again. And so, what I want to say is that this is Parent Month here in Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
And so, we want to take time out to honor our parents. There are going to be a lot of planned activities. We here at NERA Child Guidance Clinic, we too, on the 18th of November, we will be having our parenting conference. And so we are inviting all to attend. We will be sending out the link in a short order. We have the theme, parenting theme of parenting, parenting, healthy world, healthy lifestyle. And so we want all of that to come together to be able to help our parents understand how to be good parents and how to parent in a way that they bring up wholesome children. So this is Let's Talk Life and Legacy, a moment with Dr. Grace. I took over the hostship this evening. I don't know how well I did, but
Amazing. You did amazing. Beautiful.
oh, thank you so much. I know Dr. Grace is in her element when she does this program, and so we want to see in her spirit say, "Tata, here she comes." Let's see if she's gonna come on.
Can you hear us, Dr. Grace?
I was just about to say, "Tata." Your spirit.
Been a
Oh
pleasure.
boy. Okay. So, Tata, everybody. See you